Ready? Hello, everyone.
Hello.
How's everybody doing?
Doing well, Jim.
Good, good. My name is Jabin Parsley. I work at a company called Duke Energy, but I'm not here to talk about Duke Energy. I'm here to talk about my favorite sport. And I know, like a few of you, you may have been brought up, raised with certain your parents or grandparents who have influenced your decision on what your favorite sport is and what your favorite team is even. For me, it was my grandma. She was a big influence growing up. She was around a lot, which was good. And she influenced me to where my favorite sport is NASCAR. She was the type of person, she taped every single race. She took notes during the race, and she would keep that stuff. It was kind of a little bit joke for us, but she loved it. That's what she did, and as a little kid, I'd be sitting there next to her, watching the cars going around. Didn't know what the stuff was when I was younger, but you start getting older, you start getting used to it and understanding it and everything. Now let me ask you guys, how many of you have ever been to a NASCAR race? What drew you there? What was it that drew you there, Carrie?
The speed and excitement.
Speed and excitement. Have you been watching it your whole life, or was it your first time, or?
I have been around it probably most of my life, and I watch it on TV a lot.
All right. How about you, Jerome?
Partying.
Partying. Yeah, there's a lot of that going on there.
All about it. Watching cars go around in a circle. That's like watching a dog chase his tail.
Yeah.
No disrespect to you.
No.
NASCAR.
For me as a kid, I mean, a lot of kids, speed and the sound, the rumbling of the engines as a little kid gets you just excited. And for a lot of sporting events, like baseball, for example, you want to be as close as you can to that field to smell the grass and see the players, get autographs. At a racing event, you don't want to be as close as you can, because then you're going to get all the rubber hitting you in the face. You're going to get a lot of fumes from all that high octane fuel. But still, no matter how high you get up there, 40 cars going around that track, you feel that rumbling in down deep inside you. And it's just a feeling you never really feel anywhere else unless you're standing next to a 747 taking off. You're going to feel that rumbling. If you've never been, I'd suggest you guys go. It's real exciting. Like I took my fiance last year for the first time. Never been to a race, never watched a race. She sat there and I told her, just be quiet and just watch. Made sure she had earplugs in and everything. She watched them come down and the rumbling, and I watched her face. I didn't watch them. And her jaw just dropped to the floor, and you could see her just turning the smile because of the rumbling and the smell and everything. She was hooked right then and there. Was so excited about it. Wants to go back and see another one. Wants to take the kids. You know, she's so excited. But for my grandma, the reason she was such a big influence, she was the type person, she would drive where we grew up in California all the way to Phoenix, take the motorhome, ratty old motorhome, by herself. There wasn't nobody going with her. She'd go down there a week ahead of time, set up. By the time we got there on like Wednesday or Thursday before the race, the way the camping was, it was almost like there were little common areas where everybody had camped around stuff. She knew every single person around. She was that type of person. She had known him for 20 years. She'd known him by first name, and you'd show up there, me, my uncle, my mom, we'd show up, and everybody knew our name, who we were, before we even introduced ourselves. And that was just the type of person she was. She was a good-hearted, kind, and she got along with anybody and everybody, unless you crossed her, and then that's another story for another topic. But that was just one of the greatest things. Going down there, we'd camp in the motorhome, and then we'd wake up and go to the race. Be there all day long, watching everything. And there's Grandma taking her notes. You know, she just loved taking those notes, and she'd still be recording it back at home, even though she's there watching it, just so she could have it. That was just something she did. And she was one of the big influences to why NASCAR became my favorite sport. I enjoy a lot of other sports, football, baseball, hockey, rugby. Enjoy them all, but NASCAR deep down is one of my passion because of my grandma. Yes, Tim?
I've heard it said that a lot of NASCAR fans are also country music fans.
That is true. There are a fair amount that are. Myself in particular, I'm not. Even though I grew up a lot hearing Kenny Rogers and Willie Nelson on the road, traveling back and forth to races. But yes, Carrie.
Jamie, you're talking about sitting down close to the track, it's really dangerous, and you see a lot of rubber, and stuff hitting you in the head and all that kind of stuff. But let me ask you this question.
Yes.
You know, back in the day when NASCAR first started, you know, a lot of people went with their PBRs and their buckets of chicken. Have you ever been hit in the back of the head with a chicken bone?
I'd have to say no. I didn't, never had at the racetracks I had been.
What's a PBR?
Pass blue ribbon.
Up here.
You said your grandmother took notes. Describe what she would do. What
She
did they
would
look
just
like?
take stats. She would write the drivers' names down and take stats, how fast their laps were, just all
How did
kinds of
she
stuff.
know all that from sitting in the track?
She just knew.
She was a
She'd be
boss.
listening to the radio, the headsets, and everything, and watching the score tower.
Now, some
But
of the-
everybody, that's my time right there. Any more questions, we can take them after class. I appreciate your time.
Okay, Tim?
I thought you did well, you knew your topic well, you was enthusiastic. You touched us with the sentiment of your grandma. And first one thing though, you didn't use your hands a little much.
Yeah.
That's all.
I thought you did really well. You drew us into, you know, you made it very apparent why you like the sport so much. So, you know, when you do that, your audience is involved with you too, and you make them like it. So I thought you did a good job.
I earmarked what Tim and Steve said too, but I tell you what, you know, when you're going to training or anything like that, you always just, you're trying to find something, if you're sitting out here, you know, some kind of that's common that you really enjoy, and you personalized it for everybody. And you know, and I know when you're talking about hand gestures and your body movements, you know, and, you know, like Henry said, you can be distracted by that sometimes, but sometimes, I think in this case, it kind of drew me to you, because you could just see, you can see grandma sitting there, and you see the chicken bones going by. Great job.
Thank you, thank you.
I think it was great, just other than hands, but I had the same problem, but you were genuine about what you were talking about. And you can see the enthusiasm, you engaged everybody here, and they participated, and it was great. I mean, that's it, that's all I got. Thank you.
Yep, very clear cut, very, you know, you tell from all your briefings and stuff you probably had to do with radiography. You've had
Yeah,
a
if you have a
room
little
full of people.
experience. Yeah, just a little bit.
So,
Yeah.
I've sat in on a couple of those before, so, you know, a lot of experience going into it, but yeah, it's all in all good pacing and good, you know, you can understand absolutely every word you say and everything. So,
Thank you.
good job.
Yeah, I forgot that, so, not fair, but, beside the point. Great job. I wasn't distracted with the hands at all. I thought it was just, you just kind of drew me in with the hands, more of a gesture, you know, showing the excitement, and it's neat to hear the story about the grandmother. And a lot of eye contact, I thought that was a really good job. You moved spots to kind of bring yourself more open rather than standing behind the podium. I thought it was a really good job. Tim asked some questions, a few of us got to ask some questions at the end. Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah, great job. You know your subject matter here very well, it sounds like. With the hands, it almost makes you want to grab the wheel and.
Yeah.
Overall, I think it was great.
Thank you.
I thought it was outstanding, I watched on everything. I mean, I thought the hands were very appropriate, I don't think they were distracting at all, I think they drew in, so I think it was a benefit. Need to allow a little bit more time for, again, it's that time management, you know?
Yeah,
it's
that was-
time for questions, so I'll get it in now. How do they pee? They got a really long race.
They don't.
They
just go.
It's like radiography.
They just go.
Understand?
I mean, they're in a, you know, suit stinking anyways.
You radiographers are
It's
used
like
to it.
radiography.
Yeah.
Really dumb.
Used to be in the suit thinking.
Race and don't need to.
Yeah, it's kinda like being in the builder for 8 hours, you really don't need to.
Yeah.
Well, some people
It's
do,
reabsorbed.
most of them don't, they don't need to come out.
Or like those big long climbs up the mountain, people just eat cheese. Don't need to go.
I did great. Just toning her, there wasn't monotone at all. I think the hand gestures were good, so I don't like country music either.
Yeah. Thank you.
Kenny Rogers is not country music.
Yeah, I thought you did a good job. You were really enthusiastic. You got everybody engaged, bringing in the personal aspect with your grandmother and relating to her and how enthusiastic she was, I think was good. Your delivery was really good. Hand gestures, again, I thought they were appropriate. They didn't appear to be distracting to me. And thought it was quite good overall. You might have gotten people engaged a little bit more by questioning earlier on, asking if, well, you did ask if anybody had been to a race.
Yeah.
And that helped a little bit, so.
Yeah.
But other than that, yeah, I think it was quite good.
Thank you. Yeah, I missed the 2-minute mark, and then I
Yeah.
saw the 1 minute, I'm like, oh.
Been the longest Grand Prix, but none of that.
Yeah.
Well, your use of time was pretty good.